The cowboy did not know how he had ended up circled by Apache warriors, their horses making a tight ring around him as dirt rose into the air like ghosts climbing from the earth. The desert sun burned high above, cruel and strong, pushing down on his back as he stood very still, knowing that even the smallest step might look like a danger. His gun was already gone, taken by a quiet hand in the mess of sudden surprise. His horse, scared by quick shadows and loud calls, had run free and dashed into the wide fields past the hills, leaving him alone in the very place he had been told to stay away from. He was only 25, but the lines near his eyes showed the heavy load of long days and quiet nights spent riding along fence lines and watching over cows. Dirt stuck to his boots and pants, sweat moved slowly down his back, but a strange cold filled his chest as he faced the hard, careful looks around him. These people could not be talked into kindness with smiles or reasons. They were keepers of land held holy for many years. He had stepped into it by mistake while following a lost young cow out of plain duty, not knowing his way had taken him onto ground that was not allowed. The warriors stayed silent as they led him forward, spears and guns pointed with quiet warnings. He was brought to the center of the camp, where women stopped moving and children held each other close, eyes big and still. Elders turned their faces to him, talking softly among themselves in a low, quick beat that made his throat feel tight. Every look he got carried the heavy past of old hurts too deep to see, but too real to let go.
Then the leader stepped forward. She moved with the sureness of someone who had never questioned her spot in the world. Her face was shaped by sun and time, eyes sharp and deep like the night sky. When she spoke, her voice was low but full of power, spreading through the camp like far-off thunder. "You step on land that is not yours. Tell me why." The cowboy felt his heart beat harder than ever before, but he held her gaze and chose to speak true. "I was following cows, ma'am. I did not know I'd come this far. If I'd known, I would have turned around." A soft wave of whispers moved through the group. Some faces grew tight with anger, others with cold calm. The leader walked slowly around him, looking at the way he held his shoulders, the steady rise of his chest, as if she searched for marks of lies cut into his skin. Then she stopped right in front of him, just an arm's length away. "Words can be bent easy," she said, "but truth cannot." She raised her hand, quieting the voices near him. "Before the sun goes from the sky, this man will be judged," she said clearly. "Until then, he will wait." The cowboy was taken to a wooden post at the edge of the camp and tied tight, the ropes cutting into his wrists. As time pulled long and the sun started its slow fall, fear slipped into his thoughts. He thought of his mother's quiet prayers and of the young woman who stood before him. Her way was calm yet strong, as if the dirt itself waited near her. The late afternoon light drew a soft line along her dark hair and warm brown skin, but her eyes held something more than the glow, a careful, searching smartness. She did not hurry her words. Instead, she looked at him, seeing the tight pull in his shoulders, the red marks of rope on his wrists, the steady hold at his eyes, even with his future hanging over him. "You feel fear," she said at last, her voice soft so only he could hear. He let out a slow, shaky breath. "Anyone with good sense would," he said back. "I'd be foolish to act like I do not." A small, almost hidden smile touched his lips for a second, then went away. "Fear does not always mean guilt," she said, "but many men say they are without fault." She began to walk slowly around him, her steps quiet on the sand. We have been chased. We have been tricked by men who smile and promise no hurt. They say they are lost. They say it is by chance, and then blood comes after. She stopped behind him, close enough that he felt her there. Give me one reason you are not like them.
He thought of all the quick answers he could say, all the things that might sound good, but none felt real enough to bet his life on. So he said the first thing that came from deep inside. I have a mother, he said plain, and she thinks I'm better than the world sometimes lets me be. If I were the kind of man you fear, her faith in me would be gone long ago. I have not given her a reason to grieve me with shame yet. For a long time, the only sound between 'em was the soft whisper of wind through the camp. When she stepped back where he could see her, something in her eyes had grown softer, though she did not let it show too much. Behind her, the people had started to gather again. The day was fading. Shadows grew long across the ground, thin like fingers reaching for answers. Elders made a half circle, their faces hard to read. A few warriors stood with arms crossed, ready for any word that might come. The leader moved to the middle, her face full of deep thought. Her being there stopped all noise. This man has walked where he was not allowed. By our ways, his life may be taken as a lesson, or he may be set free as a gift. We will choose before the sun is gone. Low whispers rose among the people. Some asked for punishment. Others, though not as many, spoke of holding back. The air grew thick with waiting, and the cowboy felt every voice pushed down on him like a heavy load. Then, before the leader could raise her hand and make the choice final, the young woman stepped forward, her back straight, her chin up with sureness. You should not speak here, the leader warned, her voice careful but firm. I must, she said back, because the tribe's future stands right here, tied to a post. She turned her eyes quick to the cowboy. The air went still, so quiet that the small crack of dry wood under a warrior's foot sounded like loud thunder. Every eye in the camp fixed on the leader's daughter as she stood in the center of the circle, the fading sun throwing long shadows at her feet. The cowboy watched her, hardly breathing, knowing the next moments would decide if he lived to see another morning. She lifted her chin a little, her eyes steady and sure, then spoke in a clear, calm voice. He carries no darkness. The words were soft, yet they moved through the people like a quick, strong wind. No one spoke, no one moved. Even the children seemed to feel the heavy meaning of what she said. In those 4 simple words, she had put her own choice above fear, above anger, above the memory of old pains. The leader stepped closer to her, looking at the set of her shoulders, the truth in her eyes. She had taught her daughter to watch, to listen, to know the world beyond what eyes could see. If she spoke with such sureness, then she had to respect it, even if her warriors still wanted right done. You look into him and see only light, she asked quiet. I look into him and see truth, and a man who did not come here to hurt or take. He came by mistake, and mistakes do not always come from bad hearts.
The leader turned then to the cowboy. She came close, looking at him again, as if hunting for any sign that went against her daughter's words. But all she saw was tiredness, truth, and a kind of sadness that did not fit an enemy. After a long moment, the leader gave a slow, careful nod. Untie him. Hands reached out and loosened the ropes. As they fell away, pain ran through the cowboy's wrists, but he liked it. It told him he was still alive. He moved his fingers, feeling the blood come back, his chest lifting in a breath that felt bigger than any that day. You are free to leave this land, the leader said, and you will leave it with respect.
"I swear it," the cowboy said. "I will never forget what was given and who gave it." He looked toward the young woman, thanks and something more passing quiet between them. She gave him a small, knowing nod, as if to say some paths, once met, stay joined forever. A warrior brought back his reins, and his horse was led forward, calmer now, waiting. He got on slow, feeling the many eyes still on him, but their looks had changed. What was once sharp judgment now held knowing, even a bit of honor. As he rode away from the camp, the leader's voice came after him one last time. "Remember this, cowboy. Judgment has power, but kindness holds life." He did not look back, but he felt the truth of those words sink deep into his chest as he went into the open plains. Behind him, the leader's daughter watched until dust hid his shape, taking with him a moment cut forever into time and a tie born from 4 quiet words. Thank you for riding along on this story. Drop your location and time one more time if you'd like, and if it touched you, send some stars, follow, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. See you in the next tale of courage.